Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cheap Comic Collector Presents. This is our second episode of this particular series. My name's Rob. I'll be your host. And this is a little bit separate from our regular Cheap Comic Collector channel where we go ahead and look at comic books and we have a claim sale on Saturdays. But I also have a interest in superhero films and cartoons and that kind of thing. So I thought it would be fun to start a series where we examine and watch old things related to that. So it could be cartoons, could be old radio shows. But what we're going to start with is the Batman serial from the 1940s, the original first appearance of Batman on film. And and it looks like here's a poster that they used back then. And let me give you this view so you can see a little bit more centered. It's a 15-chapter serial back in the 30s and 40s. Along with the feature films, they would have a serial that would be continued, just like a comic book is continued nowadays, to get you to come back to the theaters the next week. They would show newsreels and cartoons and a serial and a feature, basically, and it would be this whole, long event in the afternoon for kids, usually on Saturdays, to watch. And so today we're going to look at the first chapter of Batman, The Electrical Brain. And it was released in 1943 by Columbia Pictures. It was only 4 years after the debut of Batman in comic books. So that's how popular Batman was. They actually made a film of Batman only 4 years after his debut. And it was apparently pretty successful because it spawned a sequel. A few years later, they made a sequel called Batman and Robin. And there's a few interesting things in this first episode that I want to point out. But before we get started, we should mention that this was made during World War II. So it can be considered racist and very unpolitically correct. The villain is supposed to be a slimy-eyed Japanese spy, and in this first chapter, there's one spot that's very cringeworthy where the narrator says that our wise government has gathered up all the shifty-eyed Japs, referring, of course, to the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. A very shameful thing that our country did back then. Sadly, in today's political climate, I think that it's possible that something like that could happen again if we were at war. Considering how everyone's rights were pretty much trampled during the COVID epidemic, I believe if we were at war with another country, something like that could possibly happen again. So I think it's important to watch these things and not sweep them under the rug. Just mention them, take them for what they were, because back then this would have been politically correct, right? What's politically correct now, and there's no question that was wrong. But it was politically correct at that time. So that does exist in here. So if that bothers you, you may not want to watch. But for those that can take us in take it in the historical context that it is. Hopefully you'll be able to enjoy this first chapter of the Batman serial, and we will show the rest of the serial as in the coming weeks. So, but there's a couple things I wanted to point out for this serial. There's one spot towards the beginning where Batman and Robin capture some criminals. They leave them tied up for the police, and basically they slap a Batman logo sticker on their foreheads to let the police know that they captured them. Sort of foreshadowing the in the Amazing Spider-Man, when he used to Stan Lee used to have him web up the crooks, and there'd be a note saying compliments of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. But Batman, he just slapped a Batman logo on their forehead. So I thought that was kind of funny. And also, most interesting is that one of the creators of Batman, Bob Kane, is actually in this movie. He is the newsboy walking by, selling newspapers in one scene. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if this is the first creator cameo in a superhero film, which of course Stan Lee made famous many years later. But it very well could be. I don't know enough about the order of how things were released and so on and so forth to know if this is the very first one, but there's a good chance that it is. I tried looking it up on the internet, and you type in cameo and it's all about Stan Lee. So I couldn't find anything that actually said if it was the first or not. And there's always, there were radio shows and so on and so forth. So it's always possible that there's something before this. But still, it's very interesting that's in there. There's also the bad guys use an amusement park ride as a hideout, which I always find fascinating. It's always a fun touch for any story of this type, whether it's in a Scooby-Doo cartoon or something like this. It's amusement parks are one of my great loves, along with comic books and so forth. So that's a nice touch that I really enjoy. So in the coming weeks, we'll be talking about some other stuff. And we'll talk about that after we watch the serials. So let's get into watching that, and I hope you enjoy it.
High atop one of the hills which ring the teeming metropolis of Gotham City, a large house rears its bulk against the dark sky. Outwardly, there's nothing to distinguish this house from many others. But deep in the cavernous basements of this house, in a chamber hewn from the living rock of the mountain, is the strange, dimly lighted, mysteriously secret Bat's Cave, hidden headquarters of America's #1 crime fighter, Batman. Yes, Batman, clad in the somber costume which has struck terror to the heart of many a swaggering denizen of the underworld. Batman, who even now is pondering the plans of a new assault against the forces of crime. A crushing blow against evil in which he will have the valuable aid of his young, two-fisted assistant, Robin, the Boy Wonder. They represent American youth who love their country and are glad to fight for it. Wherever crime raises its ugly head to strike with the venom of a maddened rattlesnake, Batman and Robin strike also. And in this very hour when the Axis criminals are spreading their evil over the world, even within our own land, Batman and Robin stand ready to fight them to the death.
These boxes are usually locked.
I know it. Captain Arnold, please.
Captain Arnold speaking.
I have a nice little package for you. You'll find it at the corner of First and Maple.
Heavily.
Yeah, what's doing, Captain?
It's the Batman again. He's at the corner of First and Maple. And this time I'm going with you.
Calling car 67. 67.
That's us.
Go to First and Maple. Hey, 702.
I'm warning you, Dr. Decker will make you regret this.
Shut up!
Dr. Decker? Who's that?
Never mind, you'll find out.
Let's wait around and see Captain Arnold's face when he gets here.
No time for that. Don't forget, I've got a date. Let's go.
You'll recognize these as the last two men of the Collins gang. I know you've been looking for them for some time. The Batman. P.S. The keys to the handcuffs are in this one's pocket. Well, it looks as though the Batman has done you boys another favor.
Yeah. You ought to put him on a force.
You find him. I'll put him on.
Come in.
Hello, Linda.
Hello. I'm just finishing up. I won't be a minute.
Oh, no hurry. I'll just relax a moment. It may settle my nerves.
Listen, will you keep your hands out of there? You've had your usual busy day, I suppose.
Yep. Up at the crack of noon, a brisk walk to the corner, and then the club for a rugged afternoon of gin rummy.
Maybe you'll be too tired to go with me tomorrow to meet Uncle Martin.
No, I'll be right with you.
Thanks. Oh, it'll mean so much to him to know that he still has his friends despite all that trouble he was in.
Only do me a favor. Let's not start too early. I'm always tired in the morning.
All right.
You're liable to carry that masquerade too far.
Think so?
Yes, I do. Why don't you let her know who you really are instead of letting her think you're just a good-for-nothing playboy?
Well, if she knew I was the Batman, she might worry. Not that she cares anything about me. Besides, on account of our special assignment from Uncle Sam, our success depends on keeping our identity a secret.
And suppose she asks you about your status in the Army?
Well, I always tell her I'm a 4F. That was fast.
Well, I don't keep people waiting like someone I know.
Read all about it. Read all about the Batman. Captures Collin gang. Extra, extra.
Hey, boy, paper.
Oh,
Extra.
the Batman is certainly marvelous, isn't he?
Oh, I think he's a show-off.
Oh, everybody that does anything is a show-off to you.
I can do things, too. I'll show you. I'll call for you tomorrow and take you to meet your uncle no matter how early you want to leave, even if it's before noon.
It's nice of you to make such a terrific sacrifice on my account.
That looks like Warren. Yeah, that's him. My old cellmate. Hi, Marty, old boy.
Why, hello, Foster. I don't...
I know. You didn't think your old pal would remember you, did you?
Well, I'm expecting my niece to pick me up.
Your niece? Oh, sure, I know. That's what we came to tell you. She couldn't make it. We're going to take you to her. Come on. Looked like my niece in that car. You're seeing things, Marty. Stop the car. Pipe down, Marty. You're going with us. Now sit back and relax. Why, what do you want from me? You'll find out soon enough.
Has Mr. Warren left already?
Yes, ma'am. 2 men met him and they drove off in a black sedan.
Thank you. He drove away with some men in that black sedan we passed back on the road.
We'll get in. We'll catch him before he gets back to town. Get going, Alfred.
Very good, sir.
I can't understand why Uncle Martin didn't wait for us.
Hey, that car with a dame in it's right back of us.
Step on it. We'll see if they're tailing us.
They're speeding up, sir.
Drive a little faster, Alfred. They're trying to lose us.
I have a strange feeling that Uncle Martin is in some kind of trouble.
They're gaining on us. Can't you get any more speed out of this jalopy?
Do you think we can catch them?
Sure, but I hope we catch them before some speed cop catches us.
They're out of sight. Release the gas and make the change.
Hold everything. I'm going to turn around. Here they come. Get down. They passed it. Didn't give us a tumble.
Well, let them try to figure that one out.
They've disappeared, sir. No side roads. They just seem to have vanished.
Well, Linda, I guess your uncle wasn't interested in seeing us.
I can't understand his actions. Well, I guess the only thing to do is to go back to the hospital and wait for him to phone me.
Yeah, and find out how he did that disappearing act. I'd like to pull it sometime when my creditors are after me.
This was part of a foreign land transplanted bodily to America and known as Little Tokyo. Since a wise government rounded up the shifty-eyed Japs, it has become virtually a ghost street where only one business survives, eking out a precarious existence on the dimes of curiosity seekers.
Now, this exhibit, my friend, was created by artists that know. Artists who have created some of the finest wax exhibits in all of England and France. Now, the price of admission is only 10 cents, plus 1 cent tax for Uncle Sam.
Not going to have any trouble with you, Marty, are we?
Not only entertaining,
Now you're being smart.
It's educational. All right, gentlemen, right up these steps. And if when you come out you don't face the greatest exhibit you ever saw, I'll refund your money. All right, folks, who's next?
Just a minute, folks. I know you two want to ride alone.
Into the line, Marty.
Come in, Mr. Warren. The League of the New Order extends a cordial welcome to an honored guest.
The League of the New Order?
Yes, a group of men, all of them dishonored like yourself.
But I'm not a criminal. I was convicted, yes, and sent to prison. But if the truth were known...
The fact remains that you have been dishonored. Exactly like our friend Mr. Fletcher here. An excellent architect, brilliant engineer, except that some of his buildings did not quite come up to specifications. May I also present Mr. Marshall, Preston, and Wallace. Now, they are...
What do you want of me?
I am Dr. Decker, humble servant of His Majesty Hirohito, heavenly ruler and prince of the rising sun. By divine destiny, my country shall destroy the democratic forces of evil in the United States to make way for the new order. An order that will bring about the liberation of the enslaved people of America. Each of these men, dishonored by your corrupt form of government, is a specialist in his line and have been especially selected by me to execute the orders I received from Tokyo. We need an industrialist to round out our circle. That is why I've selected you. If you cooperate with us willingly, you shall share in the glorious victory soon to be ours.
And if I refuse?
You have no choice but to accept. You will work with us or be compelled to work for us. Therefore, it should be very plain to you that you should be willing to help serve my glorious emperor.
Listen, Dacca, or whatever your name is, I owe my allegiance to no country or order but my own. I'm an American first and always, and no amount of torture conceived by your twisted oriented brain will make me change my mind.
But you are laboring under a great misapprehension. I do not believe in anything so barbaric as torture. Well,
Bob!
Your former partner. He was our first choice for the position you are about to assume. Unfortunately, he too attempted to resist the inevitable.
Bob, old man. Don't you know me? What have you done to him?
Deprived him of his ability to think. I have converted him into a zombie. He can only act as I direct. You will notice the metal headpiece from which a wire leads to the spine. Now, Mr. Warren, I would like you to look at this special microphone, the only means of communication with a zombie. When I speak into it, this slave gets the impulses through the headpiece and obeys my wishes. By this means, I have him carry out my orders no matter how far he is from me. Interesting, isn't it? Wells, return to your station. Now, what is your answer?
It's still the same.
Marshal Foster, take him to my electronic laboratory. Captain Jones, the door. I'm not going to destroy your brain at this time because you have information which I must have while you still have your memory.
I'll tell you nothing.
Fletcher. Fletcher, serum. Have you ever heard of the truth serum, Mr. Warren? It's one of the New Order's favorite weapons. Quote him. Mr. Warren, you were one of the men who endowed the Gotham City Foundation. Therefore, you should be able to give me the information which I need. How much radium have they on hand at the Gotham City Foundation?
Several grams.
Where do they keep it?
In the safe behind the picture in Dr. Boyden's dispensary.
Do you know the combination?
No, I do not.
Preston, lock him up. Fortunately, I do not have to have the combination.
But how are we going to crack it? What do you want that radium for?
I will show you. Captain Jones, the block. Gentlemen, this is the new order secret weapon. Marshal, give me a capsule. This weapon employs an infinitesimal amount of radium. It is a small yet deadly forerunner of the atom smasher, which, when perfected, will smash anything that lies in our way to victory. Allow me to demonstrate its destructiveness. Place it and return to your station. I would step over this way, gentlemen, if I were you. Foster, I want you particularly to see this. There are several adjustments for power on this weapon. However, the weakest will suffice for this operation. But then step back and observe. Now watch what happens to that solid block of cement. Gentlemen, this block was originally concrete. What? Yes. Now you understand why I must have more radium.
Why, sure. With more radium, we can build a weapon bigger than that gun.
Exactly. We can build a lethal mechanism so destructive as to make retaliation by the United Nations impossible. However, this weapon will suffice to open the safe at the Gotham City Foundation. And I am giving you that assignment.
We've been back over an hour and he hasn't called yet.
Oh, don't worry about your uncle. I'm sure he'll call you sometime today and explain why he didn't wait for us.
Maybe he's in conference or something.
If you'd gotten up a little bit earlier this morning, we would have been there in time to meet him.
From now on, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm going to be very dependable.
Seems to me I've heard that line before.
Well, this time I mean it. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
All right. The first thing both of you can do is to get out of here and let me get my work done. Dr. Borden's going to be here any minute, and I've got an awful lot of typing to do.
Never mind the details. We can take a hand.
Wait, I got an idea. Why not call the prison? Maybe the guard there knows who the men were that met your uncle.
Why, that's a splendid idea.
See, I'm beginning to be dependable already.
Oh, I don't mind robbing the safe, but what have we got to take this zombie with us for?
One reason is he's strong as a bull. Another is that Dacker can switch on that magic eye and watch him. Us, too, if we're close enough to him.
I'm afraid we're going to double-cross him, is he?
He's probably got that set focused on us right now.
Thank you very much. The guard doesn't know who the men were.
Well, there goes that idea. Well, we better get out of here and let Linda get her work done. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.
Everything's on schedule. There goes Brennan with the truck.
Look, that's the car we were chasing this morning.
Sure looks like it. Those three men just alighted from it, sir.
And Martin Warren isn't with them. Come on, I have an idea the Batman should look into this.
And don't forget Robin.
Alfred, drive into that alley and put the top up.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Borden, this experiment...
Take her in the other room.
What's going on here? Why, Dr. Hayden, my old colleague. What are you doing here? Ah!
laundry bag.
Get something to stuff it with.
Right.
Let's get out of here. On it.
The Batman. Come on.
Get him. Behind the chimney.
Marie, get the police here quickly.
Section 1, go ahead.
Dr. Dacker, the cops are heading for the hospital.
You get the radio.
Yeah? I got the stuff. It's in the truck. I'm starting back now.
Return at once. Head and leave the roof. Head and leave the roof.
Daka, the sinister Jap spy, believes Linda knows the whereabouts of the powerful radium gun. And what about Linda? Can she escape his evil clutches? Don't fail to see The Bat's Cave, Chapter 2 of Batman at this theater next week.
The Batman serial chapter 1. I guess let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts. It's interesting, especially the fight scenes. Not a whole lot of Batman and Robin in this particular episode, but of course they were setting up the story, so I'm sure there'll be more in the future ones. Is interesting to me. The fight scenes look a lot like the Adam West TV show from the 60s, especially the Robin scenes where he like stomps on the bad guy's foot. You know, you add a couple pows and bams and sound effects on the screen, and you'd pretty much have the same same look to it. Excuse me. Next week, we will be looking at the origins of the Batcave, because that actually was an invention of this cereal. So, see you next week. Should I say it? Yeah, I should. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you soon.